we're here to talk to you today about the Michigan State Practice Act. In the state of Michigan, PAs are allowed to prescribe controlled substances in Schedules 2 to 5 as allowed by their supervising physician. And when prescribing these substances, the PA must be registered with the Drug Enforcement Administration, or the DEA, and be registered with a mid-level controlled substances license or registration. When they do write these prescriptions, they must include this license number on them in addition to their supervising physician's license number and name. In hospital settings, when PAs are treating inpatient cases, they are allowed to write prescriptions for controlled substances without a DEA registration, but they must have that registration if they are writing controlled substances upon discharge. Michigan, along with 43 other states and Washington, D.C., allows PAs to prescribe drugs in these Schedules 2 to 5. There's only a few states that allow prescription of drugs in Schedules 3 to 5, and Kentucky doesn't allow PAs to prescribe controlled substances whatsoever. So Michigan is at the forefront of this, along with many other states.
Hi. Michigan State Practice Act states that PAs are actually not required to have a cosigner on their medical charts. So if the PA has had medical care delegated by the physician, then they don't need a cosign on that. And that also goes for podiatrists as well. It's also stated that you don't need a form that states that you don't need a co-signature on it. So once you have a practice agreement with a physician or a podiatrist, you don't need to sign an official form that states you don't need a co-signature.
To receive licensure in the state of Michigan, you have to graduate from an accredited PA program, pass the PANCE from the NCCPA, and complete a human trafficking program. A licensed PA must be 18, of good moral character, and proficient in English, and have special education or experience, and pay the appropriate fees.
PAs in the state of Michigan are allowed to practice in a variety of healthcare settings, such as the hospital, nursing homes, and emergency vehicles. They are allowed to practice in these settings no matter how often or how long the collaborating physician visits these settings. PAs are not allowed to do any medical service that they are not qualified to do or that is outside of their competency. If there are medical services that are not within the practice agreement with their collaborating physician or that require special training, there may be additional restrictions placed on the physician assistant. There are also scope of practice regulations regarding podiatry and eye exams for physician assistants. For podiatry, physician assistants can work with a podiatrist and they do not need a co-signature. For eye exams, PAs are not allowed to do anything related to refractive state of eyes, and they cannot prescribe glasses or contact lenses.
Instead of being called a supervising physician, the doctors that PAs work with is now called a participating physician. But there are some circumstances that need to be followed when working in a hospital or a private practice. So there has to be a provision of predetermined procedures and drug protocols that are in agreement between the PA and the participating physician. The physician needs to be there on a regularly scheduled basis, and there always needs to be continuous availability of the physician to the PA, whether that's in person, by phone, and by the most trusted form of communication, the radio. There needs to be a practice agreement that's signed between the PA and the participating physician that has to have a collaborative practice. There needs to be a designated alternate physician just in case the participating physician can't be there that day or can't be in contact. There's also a termination provision, and as Grace mentioned, an important part of the practice agreement is to stay within your scope of practice.
Does anyone know how many PAs can work under a physician?
There is no ratio in Michigan ever since the new State Practice Act law was passed this past March. And also, did you know that in order for a PA to be reimbursed, all they need to do is practice within their scope of practice and follow two requirements. For general family practice, the physician needs to be within 150 miles or a 3-hour commute. For physicians practicing in a medical specialty, the physician needs to be on site. And for any participating physicians, they need to be doing so from within the state of Michigan or a bordering state of Michigan.
So that was the Michigan State Practice Act.
Michigan is a very PA-friendly state.
And if you have any more questions, visit the AAPA website.
And don't forget to follow them on Snapchat.
There needs to be an alternative physician.
You got it.
Catch my glasses.
I can't believe you just trusted me to do that.